let's get all this interfacing off of her. And it's a lot because she's all her little spines. This is one of the more tedious parts, honestly, aside from the actual stitch out. And I'm just taking my chopstick and sliding it and breaking all that up a little bit. It makes it so much easier to get a hold of it and rip it. You know, when I was a little kid, I was obsessed with bubble wrap, and I feel like this gives the same kind of satisfaction, honestly. Girl, I left you all the way over there. I don't know what you did to my TikTok chat to break it, though. Maybe Betsy's shy. She didn't want her internet debut today. I think you're really going to like her. I was showing my niece your original character. She's I can't draw to save my life, but she absolutely is a little artistic demon. Just look at that. And keep in mind, like, she's inside out in the flat state. So, like, all of this is the inside. And you really want all of the interfacing off because those little pieces will start to come up and it'll cause me problems when I'm trying to stuff her if I don't get the vast majority of it off. Alright, now that the interfacing is mostly off, again, I'll figure out where the camera is in a second. We gotta cut her out. So, we'll take our big scary scissors, and I like to start on these at the front. I hope the microphone's not picking up the fan down here. Thank you. I I am a shy human. And we are not going to chop off any finger bits. I had such a good camera angle earlier before I plugged the microphone in. I really kind of messed that one up a little bit. The snakes are really interesting because you really have to follow that edge. And you want to leave a seam allowance. You don't want to cut too close because you want your thread to have the stability of that fabric right there. And you don't want anything unraveling. Let me separate all of that. Okay, let me see. Let's see if we can't fix this where you can actually see when I go to mess with it. Let's see. Let me fix this here. Yes, I'm moving the camera again, guys. All right. That's better. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that Destiny will be able to see what I'm doing with her new friend. Okay. All right, so now we're going to turn her right side out. And that's going to take a long pair of hemostats. And we'll be using our wonderful chopstick to push out all the edges. So I like to start with the face. And I'm pushing this edge in so that I'm grabbing the black fabric instead of where the stitching is inside of the face, because you don't want to pull those stitches out. And then I'm going to feel and make sure that her tongue is not caught in the hemostats, because ripping out the poor little snake's tongue is not the nicest thing to do. And then I have to cut it out and sew in a new one. So, and then I'm just going to push all of that through with my fingers. And I'm going to release the hemostats and take my chopstick. And we're going to push. And you really have to be patient and just kind of go slow, because if you rush it, you're just going to get frustrated and you're going to have sore hands. But there's her face and her little tongue, which is totally fine. Absolutely did not rip it off with the hemostats. All right. So now I'm opening this up a little bit right here through that turn hole. And I'm going to take my hemostats and we're going to shove them all the way down. And I'm just running all of these. There we go. Now we're grabbing the end of her tail and I'm squishing all this stuff up so that I can maneuver the hemostats to get them to open. And I'm pushing the edge of her tail in between the opening of the hemostats. And then I'm clamping it. So now my hemostats are locked and I can do whatever without anything flying off. So this is the most complicated part, because if you don't do it right, I can pop her stitching seams in here on that inside curve where it's really tight. So I am going to manipulate the fabric to put the bulk of that tail where I'm grabbing the very end with the hemostats well inside the curve of the snake. And you see I'm kind of just pushing and then it's inside. So then I'm going to set it down and I'm just going to continue to fold and manipulate that fabric into this bottom part of the snake. And as I push, she's slowly turning herself right side out, but she's still like inside of herself. It's really weird. And I totally get my hand stuck sometimes. So, but the reason that I do it this way is because if you just yank at it, you're going to pop your stitching on this inside curve. And, it's totally fixable. I can totally fix it. But why make more work for yourself when if you just take your time and go really slow? And you see I'm pulling. And I can tell, too, like, as I go to pull her tail back through here, you see she's absolutely a pretzel right now. She's got her tail sticking out on this side, her head's out on this side, and then she's still, like, curled inside of herself. But as I pull from this side, if this is not pushed up enough, there's too much resistance. And you can tell, like, when I'm pulling, it's coming through nice and steady. and I'm not having any issues at all. But if it wasn't pushed up enough, it would be giving me resistance. And you don't want to pull when you're turning a stuffed animal right side out if you have resistance, because you will bust those seam stitches. And you see she's most of the way turned now, with the exception of the very like half inch of her tail. So we're going to take our chopstick and we're going to run it down, and I'm pushing along the seam, so I'm pushing that seam out, and bloop, there goes her tail. And now that she's right side out and I ran my chopstick around this outside seam, I'm going to take my chopstick back in and we're going to run along her inside seam, because even though we were really careful when we turned her and made sure that nothing popped, it's always good to double check your seams. But trust me, when I pop those inside seams, it's a loud, noticeable pop, and it like my heart just drops to my toes because now I have lots of extra work. But you see, she's completely turned. She's got some jump stitches that need to be trimmed, so I'm going to get my snippy snips and we're going to trim her jump stitches real quick. I love Green Day. I don't know if I can resist singing along to Green Day songs, but this one's not so bad. But these are just the little thread ends from the jump stitches from where the embroidery machine moved from section to section of her scales. And she is absolutely, all of this white thread and the white of her face is glow in the dark fabric. So it's also blacklight reactive. I used to have a cute little blacklight flashlight, but I'm pretty sure my niece ran off with it, honestly. Probably in her room somewhere. But we're checking each and every one of her little skeleton scales, or bones, I guess. Yeah, I think these are supposed to be bones, maybe. Scale bones? I don't know. Ask me about hedgehog anatomy, I've got you. Dog anatomy? Sure. Snake anatomy? Not so much. Not so much. But can she headbang and trim stitches at the same time? The answer is maybe. Snakes are mostly ribs. Right? Ribs are bones. Grab all this off my table. There's a trash can down here. I'm not just throwing stuff on the floor, I promise. Okay. Now we're going to stuff her. Just for Miss Destiny. I will break my production assembly line and we were going to grab this humongous bag of polyfill. Ugh. Oh my gosh. That's totally in my face. No. Stay. All right. Now, we're going to stuff her head first. And we're going to be using the hemostats a lot after we get this head stuffed. I'm glad you're enjoying her. We're going to throw some polyfill in here, and then we're going to kind of go in with the hemostats, and we're going to shape her face. Because even though she's all stitched out and everything, it's still, if you want it to have the volume where it looks right, I feel like everything needs to kind of be sculpted, which is why I do a lot with the fluff, where I'm making things different densities with spinning it around the hemostat, and then I'll start stuffing, and I'm going to really work on her face right here, which is where I just put that first dense piece I had. And that's giving her face shape and making it to where she's, not flat. And we're going to do that again with these front little edges of her head here, so that her face has a nice, good, solid shape to it. And you see, I'm just kind of like squeezing and pushing on her as I go to make sure that she's totally got the shape that we want. Now, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do her tail. And you start with the small pieces that I wrap around the end of the hemostats like that. And then I grab it and I run it all the way down to the end of her tail. And I'll release the hemostats and I push that polyfill into that little nubby end, because we don't want her tail to be not fully stuffed. And you see, I don't know if you'll actually be able to see on the camera or not, but the little shed from the polyfill is getting all over her, but we will totally lint roll her at the end. So we did that little one. So now we do it again with a bigger piece. And you don't want to stuff too much too fast, because it'll get stuck in this curve right here and you will not be able. You see, her tail is actually taking shape, and she's not flat anymore on that end. So, and we're just going to keep doing it. And it takes a shocking amount, ouch, of polyfill to fill these guys. She will be thick. Oh. All right. I mean, you really realize how long these snakes are when you're actually stuffing them too, because like she long. Obviously, she's not in her little S shape yet, as we're just working on her. Missed a jump stitch. I know, I'm sure it probably looks like I'm absolutely manhandling her. But I'm really going to start shoving interfacing. And the other thing too is with these guys, when you're stuffing and you really get into it, you have to kind of watch, because her tongue is made out of, I mean, it's made out of stiff felt, but it's still felt. So you don't want to accidentally catch her tongue in a weird position and halfway rip it out with the hemostats. I mean, you're not going to do that with your hands. It would have to be caught on something. Like one of my besties has a snake very similar to this one that I made her. That's a cat toy. She's had it for a year, still has its tongue. So they're, they definitely stand up. Her cat loves to carry around her snake and kick it around, and let's see, we've got the first little curve done. Once you get past that initial little sharp curve too, you really, really can start shoving. Get the pet. I have 4 dogs and 12 hedgehogs. But we had chinchillas. I had them their whole life. So they were all over 13 years old when they passed away. I've had Madagascar tenrecs. We've had Brazilian short-tailed possums. We had bearded dragons, but I never didn't replace them after they were gone. I still have their enclosures and stuff, and I don't know. Oh, you have a service poodle? I'm the emotional. Oh, you had ferrets? I'm the emotional support human for my 15-year-old husky. Absolutely. Absolutely his emotional support human. And you see, as we've gotten to the turn hole here, I'm like taking the polyfill and I'm pushing it both ways and just working it in, because we want this little opening to have a really good firm uh, fill right here. So when I close it up, it'll be the same thickness as the rest of the creature. Okay. I think we're good. I think we're ready to close her up. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but like when she hit that table, she thick now. Okay. Flop that polyfill back on the floor before it rolls off the table. We need my pin cushion, which is totally cushions because, why not? I have a needle I really like for doing the snakes. Let me see. That's not it. Is that it? Yeah. Totally normal that I have that's the one. An emotional support sewing needle. She does go thump. Like I actually have like the clear plastic Beanie Baby like pellets, and I always thought those would be really fun in the snake. But I've not actually filled one with the pellets yet. We're going to take some clear thread. Yeah, I don't know how much of this is going to show up on camera, but we'll give it a go. We're going to take our needle. I can't believe I got that on the second try on camera. That's impressive. And I let it, I double thread my needles. And then I use this clear thread that has a little bit more durability. And we're going to close her up. Thank you, Destiny. Yeah, if you have Instagram, you should absolutely go follow me. I hang out with a bunch of folks over there in several different group chats, and I'm a book nerd, so I'm usually all up in some fantasy book. Book nerd, video game nerd, animal nerd, I'm just living my best life out here. But the plushies and stuffies and all the weird little things I make is my full-time job. Totally. The little polyfill pieces are kind of getting on my nerves. There we go. So I'm holding her turn hole closed, and then I am stitching it up, and it won't take me very long at all. And she'll be totally done, except for having a good lint roll before she gets packed. And I mean, I'm sure you could tell I'm a little bit of a video game nerd with the Pikmin and everything else we got going on over here right now. Like, how cute are these guys? Melodramatic fools. Can't resist this Green Day song. Maybe I can. I've never used this microphone before, so I have no idea how it's gonna sound when I look at the playback of this. This clear thread is doing a good job. To a whore who said my life's so bored. I told you I wouldn't be able to resist. Almost done. Probably about 3 more stitches, and she will be good to go. tie it off like that. And we're going to double check our work before I cut the thread. She looks good. Hold on. I totally have excess thread, so I'm going to tie that off real quick to the needle for the next one because there's 4 more snakes over here. No skeleton ones, though. They're all the cherry blossom. And there's another jump stitch. But there she is. There she is. And she's, you can see that she holds her shape very well. Wow. She has so much polyfill on her right now. How cute is she? Betsy is absolutely ready to go to con. I hope that's the name you actually decided on because she's super cute.